Now you are obviously greedy as a filmmaker that you want to appeal to the largest audience.
Right.
So if you're doing that genre, then you have to do justice to it.
Fair enough.
Then you might as well make sure that, okay, then I have to ace the game. I have to make it there. That is why I'm saying this whole thing of fictionalizing it gives you that freedom. The minute you try to make it real or base it on a biopic of some character, you'll get screwed, because then at the end of the day, you're restricted within what that format is, because then you can't take those cinematic liberties.
While people who have lived in Mumbai and or people who have consumed a lot of Hindi films will be able to, and I think it'll be different for every individual watching, you will pick the pieces you want and try to, figure out where a certain part or a certain trait of a character has come from.
I can't complain of the kind of parts that I have gotten a chance to do.
Right.
I was just saying, from playing the greatest lover in the world to now playing the greatest gangster in the world.
Wow. Guys, welcome to Bollywood Hungama. This is a personal favorite genre. My first question to you is, every time underworld stories have come out, and every generation has their favorite movie, and you have seen all those. How is this any different?
I think you're referring to the movies generally.
Yes, company,
so the
Satya, everything.
company,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, right? So Sarkar, whatever.
Ji.
Basically a lot of RGV's films. So I think those were parts of the big story.
Okay.
Okay, there were parts of how organized crime finally developed in the city.
Right.
There were parts of how, or they took on certain characters,
Right.
Notorious gangsters of their time. I think this is the whole, like I was saying, the whole 9 yards. This is the whole deal, right?
Okay.
It starts post-independence and it charts the whole growth of crime from just ruffians on streets to, organized crime.
Right.
How did that happen?
Okay.
And it also documents the various gangs, the kind of turf wars, and what it has finally become. Almost a corporatization, you could say, of the mafia.
Right.
So you never, and I think this is the right format to do it.
Right.
Because the show can do it where you run out of time in a film. So, and you're seeing it through a very human lens. You're seeing it through the relationship generally between Avinash's character, Dara Kadri, and his father, KK, playing Ismail Kadri. And through that lens, you see a father who's in law enforcement. It's almost like a 70s film, in that sense. It has the kind of DNA of a 70s film. And a son who's going astray and wants to chart his own destiny in the underbelly of the city. So, so I think it's more comprehensive.
Okay, that's good. Looking forward to that. Ritesh, you all have always made quality content. We look forward to your releases. How does one greenlight projects, say for a Bambai Meri Jaan? What, when say Hussain came to you all, that's how, I don't know if that's how it worked.
Yeah.
How do you greenlight that? On what basis? What do you think? Why web series? Why not a movie? How are these decisions taken?
When we started speaking to Hussain about it, the format and the way what he had wanted the arc to be, you very easily know that it can't be told as a feature film. Again, there were feature films which may have been inspiring to this, but I think the decision was the same. What we do with that, it's not about the scale or this. You're trying to, do you identify with what the lead protagonist is feeling? Right. Do you identify? Do you relate to him? Because if you relate to him and you're emotionally connected, then you'll want to say. Now, even though it's a gangster, right, you still feel for him, and you without the fact that you're glorifying this, because the way the story was, what he had written, had picked up a little bit of so much from his various journey which he had as a reporter, so he had a huge amount of time he had spent at that point in the investigations he did and the journalistic reports he made. And so what he did is he took a little bit of various things and infuse that into one character. So the relatability and the identity of that becomes more believable. So that's why, is it inspired from this? Is it complete? I said, of course, it's good. That is what we want you all to feel, that it feels real. But when you watch it, it's a different character. He's made a fictional character, but he's given him an emotional graph which is so real about why is it. So he wants to, his lust for power, why does he want it? He's opposing the father, the conflict with the relationship with the father. Father's his own, this righteous guy who's planning to build a family in the right way and provide for them. But the son doesn't agree to that. and he says, no, I would like to provide it this way, and he does his way. The mother's conflict is very different. The siblings have their own conflict with each other.
Right.
So you're seeing this. So overall, it becomes very. So the minute we read it, we knew what the arc of the characters, and we knew it had still not gone into the screenplay. We knew that this will resonate and feel it. And that itself, the way, because they're such beautiful characters, you know that it's not going to be possible to fit it into a 2.5 hour film.
Right.
So you go out where you know that each character's arc maybe will be set up in a particular episode, but its payoff happens in episode 6, or it happens. But it is going to be something which is and it is going to be something which people are going to invest and relate to. So that was the decision. So I think it's just purely connecting to it.
Right,
you know?
right. This is a genre where an actor gets to perform very differently from everything else that you do. What all did you get to do? What all did you enjoy?
I enjoyed every bit of it.
Okay.
But say when you say this genre, I would presume that you're talking about firing bullets,
Crime,
crime,
gangster,
action,
underworld.
XYZ. But which I think you would get a chance to do at various other stages, various other genres as well. But when it comes to this specific story, he's a son, he's a brother, he's in love, he has aspirations to conquer the world in a way. When all of these things come together, the nuances of each relationship, what their conflicts are, to reveal that or to play along those lines becomes the real interesting part, because the backdrop is set, right? Like you said, it's that kind of genre. You will be doing these things which are absolutely fun. I won't deny it. Firing bullets. If you saw that shot in the trailer, you know, it's blasting all over. He walks in with the gun and fires bullets. I think it's a dream of every aspiring actor. When you see it, it's like, oh, this is what I would want to do. So of course, great fun doing all of that. But the real joy has been to humanize it, to really get to the intricacies of each relationship, mindsets, and how do we bring that out with this journey of from nothing to power, is what was most beautiful for me.
Right, very interesting. You know, as many times as these kind of stories will come, there will be interest. You know, it keeps coming back, and again, all eyeballs. What is it about Mumbai, underworld, gangsters? What is it that you think draws so much attention? Why is this, like, why do people love it so much?
So I think there's something very primal about it, no? Like say you take another genre, like suppose this whole story was set in a boardroom, okay, and let's say the financial world or whatever, corporate world. You can have people hating each other, you can have antagonists and protagonists, but you will not have that visceral thrill, that primal thrill of one guy shooting and killing someone. It's a very basic human emotion, you know, it's like goes back to the dawn of time. A gangster drama at the end of the day is about bloodlust, murder, is somewhere a rags to riches story. And you, within the bad guys, there are good bad guys and bad guys. It never will work. It will never fail. You know, this is something that will never fail. And there is a good balance, I think, in any gangster story of drama and action.
Right.
Okay, that combination possibly doesn't exist in most genres.
People like the bad boys.
Yeah, that was going to be my question for you. That you know, as a producer, do you see this bad boy obsession, and there's a huge market and demand for it?
You know, it's, I mean, see, you don't get into it because of that. There are many such crime stories which have come to us. But it's a proven fact that this genre tracks really well. It identifies. Now, you are obviously greedy as a filmmaker that you want to appeal to the largest audience. So if you're doing that genre, then you have to do justice to it. Then you might as well make sure that, okay, then I have to ace the game. I have to make it there. That is why I'm saying this whole thing of fictionalizing it gives you that freedom. The minute you try to make it real or base it on a biopic of some character, you'll get screwed, because then at the end of the day, you're restricted within what that format is, because then you can't take those cinematic liberties. So we were fortunate, again, like I'm just saying, that for Mr. Zaidi to come up with something which Renzil, Sujat could take and leap from, you know, and then create your own world and move on. Like, I'll just give you a very different example, but we don't need to go down that and ask go on question. But on a certain level, Dawn was like this, right? When you made part one, the first one was the good guy survives. What Farhan did is he changed the writing and made the hero the villain.
Right.
That's what made it franchisable. It became a character you invested and loved, and then you go on to it. Otherwise, it was like what the original with where Mr. Bachchan played it would have won and end it at the good guy. That would be not ethical. So I think you bring in, and also it's times, it's evolution. We evolve as human beings. Society is evolving, content is evolving. So it's going with that. But this genre will always be attractive to people.
Right. In an actor's life, how many times does a role like that comes where you get to be like, yes, I got to do all this?
Very rarely, very honestly. But
even in this crowded OTT market, it's rare.
It is. I mean, of this stature, this scale, I think it's very rare that something like this would come through. But yeah, I can't complain of the kind of parts that I have gotten a chance to do.
Right.
I was just saying, from playing the greatest lover in the world to now playing the greatest gangster in the world. I've got that range, and that is what has been offered to me.
Right.
So I've been very fortunate as far as offers and opportunities are concerned. Even like I've done a similar show which is of the same genre, where I was almost playing named, or it was considered to be the Gabbar Singh of Bihar. To this, again, though they are part of the same genre, they're so very different, because they're again different human beings, different layers, which is what we were talking about. That it's not just firing bullets.
Right.
But it's what's happening within that person is what is most interesting.
Right.
And I've been just fortunate with the parts that are coming to me. Really, really blessed.
Right. Lastly, to both of you, as much as we say this is not about any real story, we know what Hussain Zaidi is reported on, we know his books. The minute, a Bambai title comes and gangster, we know whose reference will it be. Do you want this, people will draw parallels. Why is it different from, and we should not draw parallels?
Because I think a real life, like Ritesh said, is limited. Okay, and when you see the show, you will see that the characters are composites.
Right.
Okay. While people who have lived in Mumbai or people who have consumed a lot of Hindi films will be able to, and I think it will be different for every individual watching, you will pick the pieces you want and try to, figure out where a certain part or a certain trait of a character has come from. The truth is, if it is any one character, you're not going to be able to do seasons. I mean, this is a very real problem, and people need to understand this from the writing perspective. It is hard to make a series seasonable if you look at a particular character from fact, because that person's life is finite. And even to get 10 parts at 45 minutes apart is going to be, the sheer numbers of it. Okay, statistically, it is something that. So, you would need to do is create a fictional world where these characters and their motivations and the plot milestones are large enough for you to keep adding.
Right.
Because what will you do for season 2 and 3 if he ends his life by episode 9?
Right. That's true.
You get a chance to dramatize it more. Like, see, the thing is, you're absolutely correct. People will draw, because right now the trailer brings you into that world.
Straight takes.
Now, he's been, what I call him, a junkie from that world. I tell Hussain ji that you've got so much data and information because you are strongly embedded in that time in terms of, he did so much of reporting. So when he wrote this story, like I said, he's taken an influence from a lot of that. I mean, it's not from a particular book or he's just gone beyond all that and brought in certain stuff. But that's how you write, right? When you write a character, your influence, you'll get up in the morning, you'll read the newspaper and you'll see something interesting. And then as a writer, you'll go back and say, okay, I've understood the trait of this guy, let me see his backstory. And I'll fictionalize and bring him to here. He fortunately had information of a lot of the gangster world, and it was the birth of this. It actually is the chronology of the underworld. That is what it is. It's the birth of the underworld with various gangs, which you see, which is there, which says the Pathan gang or the Haji's gang. All these gangs were existing. So he's taken a little bit of all that, peppered it around, and made you feel. So for us, it's great. People are feeling that, but at least they'll feel, oh, it's real, now people speculate. It's fine. But at the end of it, they'll come back, yaar, इन्होंने कुछ ज़्यादा ही cinematically, but ठीक है. That is what it
that's
is.
entertainment.
That's
I mean.
entertainment, right? Lastly, to you, when you go in to make a Bambai Meri Jaan, you're always planning season 2, season 3.
I mean, see, honestly, that's what the platforms want, that they want that if the show is really good, they don't want it to be ending, right? And you end it on a cliffhanger where you build those characters and you want to see more of them. Now, that's the beauty of that format, right? It gives you an opportunity, but you can't just stretch it. There are some where we go in with the intention it's a limited series, right? So you'll do it as a 6 episode and end it because you don't have an opportunity of taking, you want to end the character in a certain, but you can't end him in a 2.5 hour for a feature film, but you need a 6 or 8 limited episode. So that happens. But mostly like a scale of this, you want to say, because you only establish, when you see it, you'll know what I'm saying. That
Great.
it goes to a level where you'll want to see more of what happens with Dara in the next season.
Nice. Like I said, personal favorite genre, so I can't wait to watch it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.